Hey there, Mac users. This is Shavano with Mac Automation Tips. I'm back with another video, and this video is about an application called timing. Now, if you are a freelancer or someone who just wants to keep track of what they do on the computer, you definitely should stick around and check out this video, okay? I've been using timing since about 2017, and I wrote an article about it, which I put in the description notes. And I want to tell you why I've been using timing for both personal as well as freelance work. All right, so let's take a look at timing. Basically, I'm showing you my timing from yesterday because I'm recording this in the morning, so I haven't gotten a lot done to show for today. But yesterday, you will see there's a bunch of activities that I did here yesterday, and they're in this kind of chronological order here, right, from time. And you can, view it from this way, or you can click on this button here and view it this way as well. I prefer the classic way they have it. This is the way they first started it. And so I like this particular way. And so it keeps track of all the things that I do on my computer in the background. I don't have to stop and push any buttons to make it happen, anything like that. It just, once you set it up, all right, it's going to track everything. And so you'll see that it's broken down to all my activities, any activities that are unassigned. And typically I've assigned almost everything. I pre-assigned almost everything that I normally do from day to day on the computer. And then it gives you total hours that you work. So, I'm typically at about 7 hours, 6 hours, sometimes 8 hours, sometimes, per day. And then I have these different areas of work here. Some of this right here is just some of your normal kind of stuff that you do. You notice that I put a lot of time into Arc web browser, mainly because I work a lot in web applications. So almost everything that I do in Arc is, considered work. And so then I have my web design stuff here, client stuff, blogging stuff, things like that. And so it's a lot of things going on in here that keeps track. Now, one of the reasons why I first started using timing is because I wanted to really figure out how am I using my time on my computer. And I know back in the day when I used to spend way too much time in mail or some other applications, that I needed to figure out how can I reduce the amount of time that I'm, spending in those applications. And so timing was a very useful application for that, in terms of just like it challenged me because it showed me like, hey, you're spending, 30 minutes a day in mail when I wanted to get it down to like 15 minutes a day. Even today, it can track how much time I'm spending on phone calls with clients or friends. And so I can, this is a very useful way to do that. Now, also in the last, say maybe 5 years, I just started using it for also for client work as well, because it gives out a kind of a report, that I can use to send to clients of how much time that I spent on their projects and things of that sort. So let's go back to here, and I can just show you a couple things that you may need to kind of know to get started. The application has a lot of good documentation on how to use it. So it's not a big problem there. One of the things that, we talked about in terms of tracking your time, you'll see that it gives you a stats report here. And the stats report, says, gives you like your overall score in terms of your productivity score. And I'm going to show you how that score is arrived at. And then it breaks down the different areas of work here as well. And then different, you can color code areas of work. See, it's a lot of that yellow here is this is kind of, I would say, administrative kind of things that I do on my computer. They're work related, but they're not necessarily specific projects per se. So I keep those in the sense that if I had too much yellow, which I do still have a lot of yellow here, but if I had way too much yellow, then I'd say, like, let me figure out what's going on here with all these yellows here. So you see a crunch of it is in Arc web browser. And if I right click on this, I can show you in here the editor part. Let me close this down some. And so this is Arc web browser, and I did it yellow, and I probably should do the color here because actually, let me do that. Actually, I will put it as green because it's kind of really actual work that I'm doing inside of Arc. Inside of Arc. And so you can do what's called a productivity kind of rating. And so the more you put it here, like 100%, like 50%, 25%. I do it all the way to 100% because I'm not really wasting any time inside of arc. I mean, I'm working in these web applications all the time, and so when I hit that when that application is in the forefront, timing starts tracking the time in that, and so that's the reason why you see so much time in there. Doesn't say that I don't deal with other parts of the computer and work in those, but that's where the bulk of my time is for some things, right? And so then you have time management here as well. And those are like yesterday I was doing some work and trying to familiarizing and researching and looking at things about timing to get ready for this this video today. So you see, I spend a lot of time in here in timing, but normally I don't spend hardly any time at all. But I was just looking to see if there was any kind of features that I needed to point out today in doing this video, right? And so that's how you pretty much get into the tracking there of that. And then if you have unassigned, let's go back up here. If you have unassigned here, you can, I'm going to show you how to, assign those to something. So for example, I don't have anything unassigned. That's the problem. Let me see. Let's go back up the track. Let's go up here. Okay. So that's, client work. Okay. So suppose I want to go with this right here. Now this is the app that this is a website to say if I really wanted to track my use of this website, and I wanted to track it in, I think this is related to a course in there. So say I wanted to make this a part of the Divi course, for example. Now I can undo this when I'm done. But basically all you have to do is hold down the Option key and drag it into here, right? And then let's do here and go up here, and you'll see right down here that it will start tracking when you go to that web page. So it will track individual web pages as well, right? And if you drag it into a particular project, then it'll be a part of that project. Okay, and so that's one way you can do it. And I think you could also right click. If I'm correct, yeah, you can right click and then also put it in the particular project. So what you want to do is you want to go here and create all the different projects that you want to keep track of. You don't have to keep track of everything, but that's what I did. So I spent about the first, month or so just keeping track of everything that I do. And once you set it up, then you don't have to go back and do it again. So I pretty much kept, almost everything that I do every day is pretty much kept track of. And if I'm really meticulous, I'll check this unassigned to see if there's anything in there that I should have been keeping track that I missed. But that's pretty much how you set it up. And once you get it set up, you're fine. So if I say, for example, I want, if this Divi course that I'm doing, say that was something I was doing for a client or whatever, and I wanted to get some reports of that. So it'll break down how much time that I spent in that course, right? And then all I have to do is go over here to export, right here. And then it'll give you this timesheet that you hear. And then you can also put notes. And I'm going to show you that in a second. You can put notes in there for each of your times. You can put notes in there. And then you can just print it or do it to PDF or what have you and send it off to the client. All right. And there's some other kind of information about how to set up these timesheets and things of that sort. So just kind of go to the website and they'll explain how to do that. There's a lot of good documentation there as well. It does take a little bit of time. So let's go back up to the activities here. And one of the things here, let's see, let's go to, so let's say this. Say I want to take this one and I really wanted to track this and say this is timing work. So I want to say timing research. All right. Now, if I was doing this for a client, right, I could put notes in here about what kind of work that I was doing so the client would know this is the work that I was doing when that time was tracked. So that's where you put the notes in there as well. And so that's really, really convenient. And it's if you're also in a Zoom call, for example, I'll show you this in the settings, but if you're in a Zoom call, after the Zoom call, you can have, timing will automatically pop up and show you that you're in a Zoom call, and you can add notes as well to that when that happens, right? So let's go over to some of the settings here. And so, this is some of the typical settings here. Do you want to launch the tracker, log in, display timing logo in the menu bar, which again, you can manually set up time. So say, for example, you're going to start working, even though timing may want to automatically record the applications and web pages you go to, you can also just manually set it up. So you can just make sure, say sometimes you're doing a little bit of work that's revolving computer as well as off computer, and you want that time is recorded as well. So you can, use that manual setup. So, you have this here, and then you put down your work hours, and I go from 9 a.m. to 11 p.m. because sometimes I do work that late, unfortunately. And so I do that, and, it just talks about remind me review of daily activities, and then it says collapse activities shorter than 5 minutes. And you can, you can do it in 1 minute, what have you, 15 minutes. So you can do that. And then you have your tracking here, idle time detection. So after 5 minutes, if I'm not on my computer, it will stop tracking the time, which is fine. That's great. It works out for me. All right. And then we can go over here, wrap up days. This says this should be set to a time before your workday usually begins, as any activities before this time will count towards the previous day. So I'll put that as 8 a.m. All right, and so then you can do, to set up your color coding here. You can do it in between similar, like if you do sub projects, child projects, you can have them similar to the parent project, identical, or rainbow. So this will, it'll automatically assign a color based upon these configurations or settings that you set. And then you can do integrations with your phone and screen time. You can actually do integrations with all your Apple devices, if you will, like your phone, your tablet, your other computers and things like that. So I don't really do that because when I'm off my computer in my office, typically I'm not doing a lot of dedicated work that's related to work, so I don't keep a track of that. And then you can also pull in your calendar, and it will track those say online meetings, Zoom meetings, and it'll automatically show up in there, and I can show you that in a minute. And then this is kind of itself, it says use and drag and drop to change the matching order of the project rules to new activities. I'm not sure how important this is. I know this should probably go at the bottom, but I think that it goes through and sees, well, what's most important first. And I guess, the ones that have the highest rules on here maybe should go to the top, that kind of thing. And so, you can read that. I don't think they really have a lot to do with impacts the way that it tracks, but maybe so. But anyway, and then you can also, if there are things that you want to be excluded, like, any type of websites or applications that you just don't want counted, you can put those in here. And then you can also have your own account there. So there you go. And then also, if you look on here closely, I'm not sure if you can see this. Okay, so this was a calendar with a calendar date with a client. So you see that's already in there. And so I can just take this and say, and I already did it, but you can track, you can kind of select it here and then put the information inside here and then save it, and you put some notes in here as well if you want to do that. And so, yeah, that's the way that this works, and I think it's a great application for freelancers, but I think that's very useful. I think there might be a free version for this, but there's the timing reached out to me and offered to give 20% off for a discount for, if you decide to subscribe to the app. And so 20% discount for Mac Automation users. And so definitely I have that in the show notes there. And if you like this application, definitely give me some comments in, below, and let me know if you have any questions, comments, feedback and that kind of thing. I really appreciate you checking out this video. And if you're a first time visitor, definitely subscribe to my channel, because I don't create videos every week, but I do create them regularly. Okay. So thanks a lot, and I'll see you in the next video. Take care.